Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is episode 231 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode is brought to you by the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Go to www.fdfineartsassociation.org. Check out what they got. They support all sorts of musicians in the Webster County area. Fort Dodge, obviously, is the primary key area, but they do a lot. They help organize basically the scenes of music and any sort of art and entertainment. It sounds kind of weird to say that, but they're like a hub between all the artists and all the businesses to kind of make sure sometimes that things like get scheduled out in a fashion that will benefit everybody that wants to enjoy music. I mean, it's wild what they do. You want to go check out some of the stuff they've been working on, go to their community calendar on their website, check it out. It's really cool. And don't forget to check out their podcast. It's called FDT. You can find it right here on the Audible Farm YouTube channel, as well as if you listen on podcasts. So check that out. This week, I'm sitting down with the founding member of Riddled With Class, the bassist. His name's Nick Ehrhardt. It's really fun because I've known Nick for quite a while. We actually talk about that at the very end of the episode a little bit. It's pretty funny. We're just goofing around. But yeah, it's so fun to, just sit down and talk with him. I had some just random questions written down that were just kind of nonsensical, and we made it like 40 minutes in before we really started. I started asking him some questions. So that's just kind of guy he is. He's just real easy to talk to. He's a real fun guy. So make sure you check out this episode and enjoy it. It's gonna be fun. Episode 231 with Nick Ehrhardt.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Sitting down today, it's Nick Ehrhardt, everybody. You've been on the podcast before.
Oh, a couple of times, yeah.
It's been years, though.
Yeah, it's been a minute, podcast and in person, honestly. Yeah.
Where I ran into you somewhere, and we kind of just had like a 2-second conversation, and it was like, podcast? Yeah, podcast. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
See, that's like,
I don't even remember.
Yeah, you're so busy. I'm so busy. I don't remember either. But for those that don't know, Nick plays bass with Riddled With Class.
Sure do.
Longest standing member with Riddled With Class.
Sure am.
Founding member, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So
it started. We did 10 years last year. Was our 10-year anniversary of the show. I mean, there was a few months of practice before our first, big 40-minute show at the Afterlife in Algona. That dates us at all a little bit, but that place was awesome. I miss that place. I think about like starting off, and if we wouldn't have had a place like that where we could go up and throw 40 minutes of music at people, I don't know if we'd be where we are now.
Yeah. I mean, I do recall people saying like sometimes the payout was weird at Afterlife, but at the same time, like it helped to have a space. Yeah. Like regardless of like any sort of back end issue you might have had. But like
Jeff was pretty open. Jeff Wolf, the guy who owned it, to whoever wanted to play, and the way you got paid is you sold tickets to the show,
which makes sense. If I was going to run a venue, I would have to have some sort of merit based on the fact of like how many people came here to see you, because I can't just pay you to pay you. Especially starting off, like if you would have asked me to sell tickets and go play a 4-hour show, I'd be like, I don't know, but but it's not a bad idea, especially like band, like he was bringing in regional / national acts. Yeah, bands that were like kind of Iowa based or like around the Midwest that were touring.
And then even like we opened up for Smile Empty Soul up there one time.
Yeah, I remember that happening.
I listened to Smile Empty Soul when I was 21, probably, maybe a little younger.
Yep.
It was pretty cool. And I went H-Town Hooligans when I was playing with them.
Oh, yeah.
We opened up for Primer 55, which was like huge for me when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And, it was, I wish we still had places like, I mean, I'm very thankful for the bands. I'm very thankful for the bands that are around, but I'm very thankful for the venues that we do have now. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that like hole in the wall, like you never know what you're gonna get stuff. It just doesn't really happen around here. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like I think it's really important for people to go to the venues that have music now.
Yes.
Because they don't last if you don't.
Yeah, point in case everywhere in Des Moines.
Yep. Is it kind of?
Yeah, I mean, like Gas Lamps closed, Vaudeville Muse is closed.
Yeah, I knew
Bob's
Muse.
Skull Avenue's Tavern is not there.
Yeah, Jason, I kind of...
Fremont doesn't do music anymore.
Really?
I mean, there's just like a pile of... We played at a bookstore, like this last show I did with Three Finger Betty.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, John broke his hand. We didn't play for like 6 months, and then played a show, and it was at a bookstore. Cool place, but Plain Talk Books down in Des Moines, they do like a once a month, like a Saturday
that sounds
show.
Pretty punk rock, actually.
Yeah. It was definitely... It was loud. It was loud for sure. Three Finger Betty, just the way it goes. But
you guys don't play at like a set decibel limit or anything.
Yeah, as loud as the drums, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like it depends.
Until people get mad.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like I don't know. I had we're recording this before it comes out, but I had Mark Gales on the last episode.
Awesome.
So we talked about volume control and stage presence and stuff. So maybe go back to that episode and fight with us about it over there, or maybe leave a comment here if you got.
Hi, Mark. I haven't seen you for a bit either. I hope you're doing well. Mark's a great guy, and we've worked with Mark. Of course, Jake and Greg Merritt, have a long-standing history with Mark. Mm-hmm. Fantastic sound guy, one of the best.
Yeah, it was wild to be like, how'd you get how do you get started running sound? It's such a wild concept to think about.
I have run sound. I've run sound for you with Jesse.
Yep.
Not my strongest suit. I am a sound man out of necessity, not out of want.
Yeah.
Nothing about that sounds like, hey, you know what I want to do is that. But the guys that do, I mean, you got Mark and you got Mike Wiedemann.
Mike Wiedemann. Those are like the
local legends.
Two local guys, yeah.
Brad, the elusive Brad at Hofing, does it quite a bit too.
Yeah.
And I think he really enjoys it too.
Hashtag Bradable Farm.
Bradable Farm.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if like sometime we just got to kidnap Brad. I've known Brad since I was probably 17 years old. Him and my sister, at the hotel.
Work together, yeah.
Yep. Caleb Ferry actually worked at that hotel too.
That's wild.
Yep. All these cool people I could have been hanging out with way back when I didn't even know it. But I think we should just kidnap Brad and blindfold him. I don't think he had to put the tape on his mouth and just put him somewhere and to catch a predator. But it's Brad on the Audible Farm podcast.
I'll just be like, hey Brad, I got a brand new bass over here. You should come check it out.
It's some weird boutique brand.
Have like a table and a camera set up. It's over here.
It's this Dingwall. Come take a look at it.
That's awesome. Yeah, like you said, it's weird because when you talk about venues, there's not a whole lot of like dedicated music venues. I think of like the obvious one to point out would be like Lefties in Des Moines that maybe I go to mostly, or maybe you as well. But it's like
been a minute,
that's a place that like they have music. It's a bar too, but it's like it's primarily mostly for music, and that's kind of what the Afterlife was to an extent.
Jeff had the absolute best of intentions, where he wanted to sell the music, and then the booze had to be sold with it as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hand in hand. I mean, I didn't want to admit it so many episodes, but they go hand in hand.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and for the most part, I've played with you and Jesse before, and you've been to Riddled shows, and we've tried to get you on a Riddled show once or twice, and it's just, you're too busy, or you hate us. I don't know.
No.
But,
I grew up with that. That's my jam.
For the most part, we're there to sell booze. I mean, whether or not we want to admit it, we might not be, but that's why we were brought in, and so I get it, and I get, like, I've also played those shows where the stage is here, and there's a camera, and over by the camera is where the booze is being sold, and that's where people are going to hang out because they can still hear you. And if you go to war against the booze will win.
Oh yeah, I remember doing a street dance with Jesse once, and that was the situation where we're like, we are literally like a block and a half away from the booze tent, and that's where 80% of the people
but they
were.
could still hear you, you know,
easily,
and
you
they're
know?
grooving over there. It kind of sucks because you don't feel the energy as much back at you. And boy, I tell you, if you go see a band, and whether it's my band or one of the 14 that Pete's in, or, you know, or if you are giving the energy to the musicians, you're going to get a better show.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard because it's not like we're trying to stop you from drinking. We want you to drink too,
yeah.
you know, but it's responsibly, of course, you know, but like if you give it back. So if you see a band and you're like, oh, it's kind of boring, like some of that's probably on you.
Bingo.
Like,
Dude, this is going to sound so cheesy. I learned how to be a good like fan of things by going to pro wrestling shows.
Sure.
Like, I get it. It's all fake.
Yeah.
Right? Everything in the world's
the
fake.
athleticism isn't.
It's I'm huge air quotes if you're not watching, but fake, you know. Okay, so we're gonna just put it with that. But it's entertaining, you know. And if I go, I can choose to just not enjoy myself or to enjoy myself. So I suspend my disbelief and enjoy myself like I would at a movie or TV show or whatever. And so with that kind of stuff, it's like something bad happened or something good happened. You got to boo or cheer, you know. And so when somebody plays something, it's like, I'm going to cheer when they're done playing the song because I actually do like this song and they did good. And as dumb as it sounds, like if you're in the crowd and something good happens and you want to cheer, be the first person and the loudest to cheer and just watch everyone explode around you.
Absolutely.
Because they feel the energy coming off of you and they want to contribute. Same
Well,
thing, live music.
You know, to touch on the fake pro wrestling, yeah, you're right. It's all kind of fake. You go see a cover band, you know, it turns out we're not Red Hot Chili Peppers, which we don't do a whole lot of. But Levi is a freaking rock star, but he is not Dave Grohl, you know. Or, you know, Forrest Gump wasn't a documentary, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Energy is infectious, like, and that's something you can do in your everyday life too, you know. I mean, one of, you know, people, oh, that guy was a dick or whatever, you know, like, how were you to him? You know, it doesn't always reciprocate that way, but usually if you're a pretty cool person walking through life, you're going to meet a lot of pretty cool people, you know, and if you go to a show and you're having fun and you're enjoying that band, you're probably going to get a crowd around you too, you know, it's just something that, like, it's nice. Like, I'm not asking you to throw bras at the stage or anything, you know, like, but like, you know, come out and do what you set out to do, which was have fun, because we can't all be the goth kids off South Park, you know, just sitting back smoking cigarettes talking about how everything sucks, you know,
exactly.
but I don't know.
No, I get it. You bring up a good point. Like, you should go there to do what you had set out to do, which is to have fun, because nobody's like, I'm going to go out to the bar this weekend and not have a good time. Like, nobody thinks that, you know, and it's funny too, because like you could go there and just be put off by something like, oh, they played a Tom Petty song and I don't like Tom Petty and boo, you know, like what, like why would you do that? But
be funny about it if you do, because you know, you probably get a funny response too.
Exactly. It comes down to having a good time and just, I mean, you and I, without actually saying his name, I know we know one person who's always having a good time, and he's like everybody's buddy because of it. Yeah, everybody hangs out with him. You know exactly who I'm talking about. I do. Yeah, we don't even have to say his name, and that's how infectious it is. You know?
Is, and those are the people I want to like surround myself with, because I don't know, man. It's just like another. I don't know. I know we're gonna talk more about like one-off shows, but. Like, I played with this band, it's been a month and a half ago or so now. And, like, I don't know the music those guys play. It's all country. You know me well enough to know that I'm probably not keeping up with country a whole lot, you know. But it doesn't... I don't have anything against it. It's just not, like, if you get in my vehicle most of the time, it's some sort of podcast or a newscast or something. But, like... I really like punk rock. Like, I really like punk rock and kind of some of that pop punk, and then the pop punk that borders on emo and stuff like that. That's my jam, you know. But like, this group of guys I played with them a couple of times, and they're just so much fun to be around, and they're having a riot to a point where like was not probably qualified to play some of these songs, and then you get a list of them. They're covers, and at one point, Tank Anthony looks at me and he's like, "Oh, it's by this guy." And I was like, "You might as well have said it's by you, because it's no different to me, you know." But they make you, there's a group that as a group they make you feel welcome, and you're having a riot, and that. And so some of it falls on us as the musicians you got to give out that energy as much as you can to get it back.
Yep.
But please give it back too,
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I've played at shows where it's like there's 9 people here and nobody's doing anything, and I'm not having any fun and they're not having any fun. You just kind of keep it a little bit under your hat sometimes. But like you said, sometimes there's shows, even just the other musicians on stage can be having so much fun. It's like, this is infectious.
Yep.
I mean, I'm assuming you played with Owen at that show.
100%.
I played shows with Owen with Jesse Wilson. Yep. And he's so much fun to play live with because he has a way of somehow being able to goof around with just playing music.
Yep. You look over at him and he's having a riot and he's moving around, and whether he's playing guitar or bass, he's got bass player face in full effect.
Yeah.
And it's infectious around him, and what a tremendous musician that kid is. He is, head and shoulders. He's above me, but I've known Owen since he was a little guy because his grandpa Tracy, and just it all wears off, and that goes with being a good bandmate, because I've never really been in a band with Owen, but I know he's a good bandmate, and that I try to be that in my band. I try to be the guy who's got everybody's back and all that. Well, and I freaking love those guys. They're like my brothers,
Yeah.
We've been doing this even, I said it was 10 years. Even the Merritts have been with us for 7 now.
That's wild.
Levi for 8. Yep. So, and you saw it when it first kicked off, and so it's come a long way, and we've had some changes and stuff, but boy, the way we're set up now, that's it, and so if it calls for some changes here and there, kind of sit back and let everybody do it, because we're all good bandmates with each other, And
yeah, I mean, that helps out with, if you're going to go do a fill-in gig, if the people that are there, let's say doing, like, the band that's there, that's already there that you're filling in for, if they kind of like, I want to say like, rally around you and kind of, so like,
well, and they got if that band has a good dynamic within their own band.
Yes.
Because can you imagine going to fill in with a bunch of guys that are really just fill-ins in a band full time, where everybody's kind of a stranger, you know?
Oh, that'd be so weird.
I think that would suck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that brought me to like thinking about something. I haven't really talked about it on the podcast here. So I played a show with Faster Horses, Eli and Faster Horses, which was like wild. I don't know how they found me. Hey, you want to play this show? Sure. But they had realized like days before the show that their guitarist couldn't show up. So they're like, here's our set list. And it's like 60 songs. I know 12 of them, It's like one of your type of deal. So on top of that and being like deathly ill, like I played the show standing like with a chair behind me just in case I needed to sit down, because I was like just dumping sweat, just like liquid falling off my face.
Beating the illness on stage.
Dude,
basically.
It was horrible. It was horrible. But he had such professionals around him, and I'm going to say this, like, it was not his best effort, literally because I was there. Like it's tough to lose the guitarist. So like before the show, I just like brought everyone together as violin player, bassist, like, you guys, I'm just gonna like give you a look and you take over, you know, because like you're used to this and I'm not, and they did, and it was so amazing, and like I said, just having those people around you, like keeping a positive mindset about everything, just like, yeah, we're doing this, keep going. You're like, we got this, keep going. And it's like, all right, we got this, and it was just kind of fun to have like those one-off shows like that with people. I mean, luckily I haven't ever done like a one-off show with a band I don't like. Sure. And luckily I think you and I haven't really interacted too much with like playing music with people we don't like.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm sure we all have, but it's not an easy task.
Truth be told, I haven't met a whole lot of musicians I don't like, though. I mean, it kind of, I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that I haven't met one and I've been like, yeah, me and that dude probably aren't, we're not going to sync up on anything. But like, for the most part, it's not that all musicians are the same kind of person, because that is
No.
grossly wrong, you know. But for them, it's a mindset, and regardless. I remember reading one time, and I'm not gonna say who posted it or who they posted it about, but something was posted once that there was jam night and a kid came up to play, and somebody told that kid to go sit down because he wasn't good enough to play with them. And I remember reading it and being like, that's bullshit. That's not true. And if I told you who the host of the jam night, take a stab in the dark who the host of that jam night was, it was years ago.
Years and years ago. I mean, it could be a couple people, you know, but it could also be like a mistaken identity situation. But also, like, I think if I was in that kid's shoes, I probably would have just like put the guitar away and not played it for 10 years, you know?
Well, and I knew for a fact that didn't happen, that's what I mean, where I was like, that's bullshit, because I don't know if I've ever been on stage with another musician that. Have I ever been on stage at a jam night and what I was doing did not work with the rest of the people? 100%.
Yes.
And I think that might cue next bass player up a little faster than,
Yeah. Which I'm okay. I'm okay with that sometimes though too,
I don't see a scenario where anybody from the area that I know anyway is going to kick a kid off stage because he's not good enough. It might be you played your 2 songs, man, I got to get somebody else up there,
Yeah.
And if I'll tell you after this, because I don't want to throw any names or anything, but like this guy, no, they're genuinely, for the most part, most of them are very supportive. It's you'll see it, like if you play a show with another band around this area, most of the time, if you're on before them or after them, they're watching your show.
Yep.
And then hanging out, they might, if you're the closing band, they may not stay till the very end. I have a really big theory about, like, I don't really like it when Riddled is like the quote unquote headliner. Okay. There's a couple reasons. The biggest one is I want to enjoy the other guy's show, and maybe that means a little extra libations or something,
Yeah, you can't really cut loose.
The other one is when you're the headliner, like sometimes if you're playing till 1 o'clock in the morning, people are dipping, and it's not because you suck. It's because
it's 1 in the morning.
Yes. And I don't know, there's starting to be some gray coming in here and stuff. And it's not 2012 anymore. And but
don't remind me.
Yeah. That shit happened fast too.
Yeah. 10 years, blam.
Yeah. But it's fun. I don't have like an ego about our band. Like, I know we don't suck, like I know we're going to go out and we're going to sound good. We're probably going to look good most of the time. We're using our, I mean,
hell yeah, you're going to look good.
Not necessarily like, like we try to fit in the band within all of our modeling gigs, and stuff. But like this stage is going to look good. We try to be very professional and stuff, but most of the time, I kind of want to be the second band. If there's 3 bands, I love being the second band.
Oh yeah,
or if there's going to be 3 bands and we're the closer, and let's say we got a 2-hour set at the end of all of this, that last half hour, hey, leave your rig on stage, come up, let's mess around, let's do something dumb, let's do something fun, somewhere in Facebook land, we did the Poorhouse, RIP in Humboldt, when they did their first anniversary, I kind of got tasked with building wasn't all day, all night show of bands, and I leaned on some friends for it, it wasn't I'm putting together Woodstock, in Humboldt, but it was Levi and Chad McDermott from Breda, Iowa used to have a band called Foreplay back in the day.
Okay.
And so they opened it with just Chad and Levi acoustic, and then Chad plays keyboards, guitar, didgeridoo.
For real?
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know if I'm sure he does, but the spoons, you know, he had a triangle at one point. I don't even know where that came from. But like, so they opened it up, and then we had Tantrum to Blind.
Okay,
with
yeah,
like
yeah.
Scotty
Yep.
and you know, Josh Nielsen, Colin was not there that night, but Josh Stewart, who's out and he still listens to this, you
Cool.
know, and he's out in South Carolina now, and I got to get out there and see him. And then it was us, and then the last hour of the night, we all were on stage, and we were winging it. We're doing like, if you go to a Riddled show, you're not going to hear Skinner songs, you
Yeah.
know. But we did one that night, you know.
might as well.
It was really cool. So somewhere there's a video, and I think there's 3 guitars on stage, me on bass because Josh Nielsen had to take off, and I think Jake's on drums on it. And I look back on that, and I'm like, that was a super cool night. Like,
Yeah.
and we got to have a big ass show at the Poorhouse in Humboldt,
Which
you
is
know?
fun, yeah.
Yep. And
I've done a couple shows there. It was really
Yep.
awesome.
I loved that place. I understand even bars kind of disappearing, you know, and
Yeah. Like even, I mean, just in Humboldt, there used to be 4 of them that were
Yep.
very frequented, and now it's 2.
yeah, you got the Pine and
the
then
VFW.
up in Dakota City, yeah. And then the bowling alley, you know, sometimes,
yeah,
but
yeah. Which is more full than you think it would
Yep.
ever be.
Yep, it's in. A lot of people are bowling and drinking. Like that's one of those sports that's better if you're drinking when you do it. I think.
the less you try, the better it is.
I don't know. And I guess I didn't pay a whole lot. I knew like Gaslamp closed down and stuff. It's kind of sad because we're not all going to come out of the gate as the Foo Fighters or, you know, these like bands. And the Foo Fighters is a terrible example because you're talking about like a Wells Fargo band. But we're not all going to come out of the gate a band that can pack the Valair Ballroom or
True.
whatever Seven Flags is now. I can't remember what it's called now.
Horizon Event
Yep,
Center.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then there's that one. I haven't been there yet. The one over in Waukee looks super cool. I've seen some video.
Oh yeah, there was was Diamond Head was there or something recently or something. There's been a few shows there.
I wanted to see Third Eye Blind there, which is I don't know, like everybody knows the Doot 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 song, you know,
Yeah.
but like I'm kind of a fan of Third Eye Blind and
It's so funny. The Doot Doot Doot.
the Semi-Charmed Life, and that song is not about what you think it's about.
Yeah, you start listening to the lyrics like, wait a second. What? go read the lyrics, everybody.
It is very upbeat, but it is very deceiving in its upbeat nature.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like trying to sing Like a Virgin in a church, which I saw a video of a church choir doing that, and I was like, what? Or like a prayer. Excuse me.
Yeah.
That's
way.
Yeah, it's just like
Madonna
holy
in a church, like I don't know. I'm not walking outside if it's raining because there's lightning.
Yeah,
and I'm not being a part of that. But
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
no, that place looks super cool. I know tickets bring a little bit more at the. I can't remember. Like it's the. Shoot, I'd have to pull it up, but
Yeah, I would too.
looks super cool. But we're not all going to pack those places.
Yeah.
We need places like the Poorhouse. We need places. I know Nuts Landing over in Rutland starting to kind of, you know, wintertime kind of closes that down. They're just not really set up for that. But you know, we need to go to these places too. And when we're not playing, and go see other bands. And I'm guilty of it too. Life gets in the way sometimes and stuff. And
I mean, married with kids, full-time job, like not just a job, a career. You know, it's
Sure.
like there's people where it's like it's forgivable that you're
Yeah.
not at every show or whatever.
well, and
but
I hate not going to the jam nights as much, but they're always on Thursday nights, and Thursday nights the night I stay late and stuff, and so I'm going to make a conscious effort to do more. Because, like, you know, we talked about some of the stuff, but like that's where you go meet some of the other people that maybe you don't. I mean, I remember like they had me host a jam up at the VFW, and so I got off work a little early and I went and I hosted it, and that was when is it Doug Schmieders?
Dave.
Dave.
Dave,
Yep,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Dave. Super
I
cool
believe his
guy.
brother might be named Doug. Actually, I'm not
Really?
100% sure, but yeah, Dave.
Well, so not only I hear he's a legendary Caterpillar mechanic as well.
Which is wild. Oh my gosh, that was the funniest thing. We were going to a show once. He had a tire blowout, and I like pulled up. I was like, "You need some help?" He's like, "No, I got it." And I was just kind of like,
Yeah.
all right, whatever. And then I was like, I go pull up to the venue and I was like, yeah, Dave's on his way. Just put the tire back on. He's going to put the jack down and get here.
His amp's already on stage and he's setting up his steel guitar.
Yeah, and he was just like, he's got it. He's a mechanic. And I was like, what? And it turns out he actually is a very good mechanic.
Like the other cat mechanics go to him on stuff. And,
it's so crazy.
And I didn't know that, but so like we start playing and the steel guitar, pedal steel, has always kind of boggled my mind. I've never paid that much attention to it, but I've always thought super cool instrument. Doesn't really present itself a whole lot to the music I listen to, but like it's wild, it's like it's like some like engineer got bored with guitar and he's like, how can I make this harder? And like. And he's like, no, it's not that bad. You just push this one, it changes the pitch. And
so funny listening to pedal steel players explain how quote unquote easy it is. It's like,
there's like a bunch of spoons hanging off the bottom of it that they like tiptoe on.
Yeah, there's like knee levers and
knee
stuff.
levers.
Like,
and,
what are we doing here?
But like, what a musician that dude is.
Yeah.
And that was incredible to see. And now I think that must have sparked something with him because I'm seeing him with Clint, with Jesse,
He does Four Fools. That's a band with Scott Dahl he's doing.
Yep.
And he's out there.
Yeah.
His podcast was a great one because it's just like, where have you been? And he's just like, I had a life, basically. I had kids. I had obligations.
Sure.
And then when my obligations calmed down, I started playing music again. It's like, wow, that's noble.
And I'm married and I have a 15-year-old daughter that lives with me, and I 100% understand. And like the rest of the guys in my band, you got Jake, our drummer, Jake Merritt. Love you, Jake. Jake's got a little guy named Vinny, and then Margot, older stepdaughter, and he's married to Jessica. And then Greg's got an older stepdaughter. It is kind of hilarious how similar the Merritt brothers are, but Greg's married to Amy. They have an awesome little family, and London, the older stepdaughter, and then they got their little guy Jude. It's just, how did you guys both get sons right away? Like, about the same. And then Levi's got Blythe and Deacon and his wife Brittany, and so like I understand like the commitment that we've all put into it, and that's probably why you haven't seen 75 Riddled With Class shows, this past year and stuff, because truth be told, like they have their obligations too. And like, but how do you stay that sharp on something like that? I don't know. I think the guy is like a genius. It just, because I got to play a little bit every night. And if I don't, like if I go a week without touching a bass, when I pick it back up, it's not that it's foreign to me by any means. I'm not as sharp as I was a week ago when I put it down, you know, and I don't know.
It's like I've never changed brakes in my car, but I did it 5 years ago. Let's see if I can do it again. And it's like, you did it, it's like I could probably do it again because I did it before, but it's not going to be smooth, you know? Especially if somebody did it all the time or whatever.
Well, and if you sit down and noodle with one of these things, and I'm sure Dave did along the way, but like, That was the first time I'd ever seen him play, and I'm like, holy shit, like, wow.
And he's really good at regular guitar too.
Yep.
It's funny, regular guitar,
regular ass guitar. But
yeah, that's what you have to call it if you play the pedal steel. Oh, you play a regular guitar?
Yeah, regular guitars are for wimps,
Pedal steels are crazy too. Like, it's like you said, doesn't lend itself to your type of music. Like, there's no pedal steel solos in some 41 albums, but you think about it, it's like, what is this? It's like country, but it's also like this weird westerny thing, but it fits in with gospel music and at churches, and then for
bluesy kind of too.
And for some reason, like, it goes into island music. It fits in there.
Sure,
it's like, how did that work?
What a strange, weird instrument. And like, of all of them out there, you're like, I want that one. Is it because you get to sit down? Like
maybe.
Like most of the people who want to sit play drums, I guess. But the other ones try to play drums, but it's a guitar.
If I had more room in my car, I would bring a throne, an actual throne for Dave Schmieder at every show I played with him.
Like he's got the Dave Grohl throne,
dude,
like,
100%. Yeah, oh gosh,
weird little like levers popping off the sides of the seat and stuff.
Oh, I love it. It's so fun. Yeah, I mean,
but. like if you don't go out to those jam nights, sometimes you miss out on those things, and that's kind of why I'm like, I gotta find a way to get to more of those and connect with more musicians, and not necessarily like to start a band or anything like that, but just I kind of miss those things, I guess.
It's nice to see those people out there. I mean, that's the same way I would have never seen Love Bomb, which, like, they're going to be on the podcast here sometime soon, so make sure you subscribe. There's your plug. But yeah, Love Bomb, like, 3 kids, high school aged, crushing it. They're like way better than I ever was when I was in high school. All of them are at everything. So it's like, but I never would have seen them had I not seen them come out to a jam night, and now I know who they are, to the point where, like, I saw a couple of them in public, and we like, what's up, guys? I'm the cool old guy now. Yeah. Or maybe I'm not cool, but I'm the old guy.
We're an old guy that knows them anyway.
Yeah, I know the cool young kids. That's what it is.
We did a show with them in Eagle Grove at Rails. Ed and everybody at Rails it's one of the best establishments anywhere around here.
Yep.
And Ed takes care of us all, and so we should all take care of Ed.
Good food too.
Excellent food.
Yeah. Don't wait until the kitchen's closed to order. You'll be bummed out.
Yeah. The beer is cold too. It's wonderful. But we did a show with them, and that was the most fun I'd had in some time playing music. And the excitement, they're polishing up their show too. And you just like, because I'd seen them, and they didn't know who the hell I was when I was like, hey, you guys want to do a show together? We did Rockin' Picnic with them, actually, too.
Cool.
Yep, they opened up Rockin' Picnic. We were the second band up, and so
awesome.
That was where we started kind of chatting. There's a lot of similarities between Love Bomb and Riddled, and because really, like, they're playing 16-year-old music as 16-year-olds, and we are playing 16-year-old music as close to 40-year-olds.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that's north of 40 here, but it was just like, dude, we should do a show together, and then so we booked that show. They killed it. They were wildly more popular than we were, which is awesome.
It's fun, yeah.
And we're going to do more. You talk about seeing them in public. I just ran into one of the guys at Peking Garden in Fort Dodge last night. And at first, he kind of looked at me, oh, yeah. I got to brag to him about my new Mark Hoppus bass, because
cool.
That's still the stage of life I'm in, is wanting all the Blink-182 gear,
Yeah.
And it's just a good fit. And the two of us together, I feel like we had a great show over there in Eagle Grove. They stole the show 100%, and I wholeheartedly expect them to do that with us every time they play. And,
they're tons of fun.
It's the best thing, and they got a support group around them too.
Oh yeah,
and that's awesome to see, because that you got to have that, especially at that age, because like they're all young men, and great kids, but their lives are going to change so many times over the next, by the time they get to be my age or something, and it's just like, you're already finding people who support you in the things you're interested in, and just keep doing it. And like, I didn't play music for a long time because of obligations and stuff too. And I wish I would have just carved out a little niche of time for that. You can always look back on decisions you've made and be like, I should have done this differently, because hindsight is 20/20. But,
always.
Yeah, I super happy to see them doing that, and Jam Nights brought them up. It got them noticed, and it got them. They're playing in bars they legally can't be in, unless they're a performer.
And that's the fun thing about that, is like, as soon as they're like, we've had them open for us at bars, or like I've been at shows where they've opened for us, and it's like, as soon as they're done, they're like, we want to stay, but we can't. And it's like, that's actually really funny. You guys showed up and got paid, now have to leave.
Exactly.
It's hilarious.
I think Owen was on that kick for a little bit too, where it's like, unless they're playing till closing time, Owen's got to get his shit and get out of here.
Yeah, yeah, it was really fun.
I wish I would have leaned into it more as a young person, because it taught me a lot. cool things, and it's introduced me to way more cool people than I would have ever known without playing music, All
right, so let's go through a couple. I actually like just for some reason wrote down like actual legitimate interview questions. Like you and I weren't gonna have a 40-minute conversation before I ever asked you anything. So like, what advice would you give to like a young musician? Let's say it's not even Love Bomb, it's just anybody, because there's a few of them. Evan Pratt was on recently. He's kind of younger. He's about the same age as them. So like anybody that's a young musician starting out, what's some good advice for them?
I don't give up. Don't allow the early frustrations to make you quit, which I mean, you used to teach guitar. I'm sure that's like the first lesson basically is some points of this is going to suck, and
I always said that my thing I told everyone is like, you got to find a way to make this fun.
Yep.
That's number one.
Yep.
Even more over than learning anything. You have to make this fun.
Yep. Because you'll learn if you're having fun,
Bingo.
You got to be somebody who wants to be challenged, I think, a little bit, not competitive, but not competitive, I guess, like.
Well, you have to compete with yourself the day before.
Yep.
That was something, betterhelp.com, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. But that's something, you only have to compete with yourself the day before. That's it.
Yep. And you got to, be competitive with that. I'm going to be a better musician every step of the way. Mm-hmm. And you'll hit a point that it's a plateau,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's okay though. Usually by the time you plateau, you're good enough to hang, and then surround yourself with good people who, they might not have the exact same goals as you do, but similar goals, and like if you're in a band, there's got to be somewhat of a vision. Like we want to be a band that does this, or we want to be a band that does that. And like in Riddled, it's kind of, we want to be a band that goes out and has fun, but we want to be relevant. We want to be, seen and stuff, not egotistically, but like we've all put in the time, and stuff.
You want the juice to be worth the squeeze.
Yep. Yeah. And we want the places we play to be successful, and and then I would say like gear wise, if you're starting out, you don't need to go buy a 64 Fender Stratocaster, but I would you got to try it out. So like if you're ordering or you're getting your first guitar, don't buy it on Amazon. Don't buy it sight unseen, or you haven't sat down, because as well as I do, 90% of your early guitar playing or bass playing, drummers, if you want to learn how to be a good drummer, talk to Jake Merritt, because I have no freaking clue. But like, or Cole, or like, but like guitar, bass players, like you're not gonna, as cool as it might look, if you put a Firebird across your lap, like most of your guitar playing early on is going to be sitting down at home, put a Firebird across your lap or a Thunderbird across your lap and have it dig into your ribs or something, It's just, I'm not saying that they're not good instruments. I'm just saying it's not a good first instrument.
Yeah.
And then on the same side of it, sometimes the $69 brand new guitar, it's going to have sharp fret ends. It's going to have stuff that frustrates you. So you should buy the best thing you can get that you can afford without, like I said, you don't need a brand new American Professional, like to start off with.
Yeah, you don't go break the bank on it, but it's something that you can comfortably afford.
Well, like some of the PV stuff you can get pretty cheap, and it's I got a PV bass. If anybody wants to learn how to play, I would let it go. It's just a Millennium one or whatever, but
they're not bad.
No, it's a fantastic, especially for a beginner. You know,
I think those the Millenniums is it EXP? They might have been like an export from another country.
Yeah, I think it's BXP is what this one's called. But it plays good. It sounds pretty damn good. It actually probably sounds better than any of the Squire stuff I touched that hasn't been upgraded or whatever. That's the other thing is, so when you're starting off too, and I know you've dinked around with guitars and messed with stuff, don't get something crazy off the wall,
Yeah.
Because if you get something that, like, with pickups that you can swap out and stuff. Like, you have an infinitely upgradable, like, I've seen some pretty fantastic guitar players play at Squire guitars on stage, and they're running Seymour Duncan pickups in it or something like that, you know? So you want something versatile too, because trust me, whatever you think you want to do exactly, you're going to do 14 other things at the same time with it. Like, I found myself, I filled in with country band, and all of a sudden I found myself like going down a rabbit hole, like learning country songs and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm never going to play them on stage probably, but like,
well, you never know.
That's part of being into playing music, So I would get the best thing that works for you that you can afford,
It makes me think, you were talking drums and you don't know anything about it. The drum equivalent of the cheap Squire guitar that has the action you can't ever quite lower, or like the neck that you can't quite get straight, or the frets are pokey on the ends, and the equivalent of that is the cymbals. The cheap drum cymbals are absolutely ear-shatteringly, disgustingly horrible sounding. And I only know that because I bought a drum set and it came with like 9 cymbals, and about 4 of them are good and the rest are crap. And by crap, I mean, if you hit it, it's like nobody would ever find this sound. Call it a good sound. Nobody would use this on purpose. The keg smash from any Slipknot album sounds better than any of these cymbals.
Or the old keg snare from the Saint Anger album, all those jokes and stuff. Yeah,
that sounded.
I know what you're talking about, and even like. So if you're gonna play bass or whatever, some of those basses you can dial up the tone so bright on it that it's just like, why the hell would somebody want a bass to do this? Like, bass is supposed to be do not screaming. And I understand. I kind of tend to gravitate towards a more mid-rangey tone, and a clanky tone and stuff.
Fits your bill for what you're playing,
But some of that stuff, like this sounds like guitar, and like we don't need 3 guitars and no bass, but and then practice and practice and practice and go out and play a show and completely suck, or play a show. We've played to my wife before. You play the shows where nobody's there, and we talked about the energy part of it. Well, if there's 5 people there, those same 5 people that came to watch you play deserve the same kind of show as if there were 500 people in that room.
That's true, yeah.
And they'll tell their friends about it, and hopefully their friends don't suck, and they'll come out to the next one, and but don't get discouraged if you're there and it's not a packed house, That doesn't always fall all on us either. I mean, that's true. I mean, it could be something else going on in town. It could just be like the venue. It could have been a lack of promotion. It could have been a lot of different things, Wrong night, I mean,
100%.
We played at New Year's, and I still kind of hate how it all went over at the Junkyard years ago. And that New Year's, there was an ice storm, and there was like 9 people there, and I felt so bad for Ashton. It was Ashton at that time running it, and it, but sometimes there's nothing you can do about it, and until you really get rolling, there's nothing other than doing what you can, promoting on socials. If you want to do the flyers, I'd do the flyers.
Yeah. Oh, flyers. Yeah, I think that's an undersold thing for sure. We were talking doing stuff with like bass guitar, what a bass guitar's tone should sound like. What about like, this is something I know you use, and I almost never see bassists use these. I shouldn't say that. It's infrequent, but you use pedals.
I do.
What's the benefit of using pedals with a bass? Because I always thought it was weird. I could never chisel out a bass tone that I thought like sounded good. I thought it sounded generic, I guess would be. So it just sounds like a bass. It doesn't sound special in any way. But like, how do you get a bass tone? How do you decide you're gonna I'm gonna add some chorus in this time or whatever? Like,
and chorus is one I don't use a whole lot of, I guess. Honestly, it really started with curiosity, and then for me, it's versatility. If you come watch Riddled, you're gonna notice 99.9% of the time I'm playing some sort of Fender bass, and that's because I shy away from like active basses, because frankly, there's too much stuff on them, you know,
Yeah.
like, and then you got your, you know, your boost cut stuff on all that. And so your bass, you want a little more bass. Okay, I'm nudging into it. And then like I'm gonna scoop the mids a little bit, and then I'm gonna give it a little bit of shine on top or whatever, you know. And then before you know it, it just you're making a cab fart or something, you know.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was like, so I'm gonna play a Fender bass. I'm gonna run the volume wide open all the time. Like, and if I gotta dial it back, I'll dial it back on there. But I want, this is what it's gonna do, and I'll back off from there, you know. And then, you know, it's I'm kind of a walking contradiction on that fact, because I feel like there's too many knobs and everything already, you know. My newest bass has a volume knob on it, and that's it. But like you know, so, and then I'm gonna wiggle a tone somewhere that sort of behooves the song I'm playing, I guess. You know, some of the like slower, prettier stuff, I'm gonna roll off the tone and just try to be fat and be underneath it all, you know. Where like some of like the pop punk stuff we do, it's a clangy, bright, and it's sitting kind of beside the guitars as it comes out.
Yep.
But the reason pedals, the biggest thing that got me attracted to them was probably versatility on stage. And most of my pedals that now I'm running a Zoom B6. It's a floor model or floor modeling thing, and no amp. So I'm running that straight to front of house, and then in ears. And sometimes some shows I might put a cab up there, run through like an effects loop or something. But for the most part, it's versatility that I like out of it. And then with these new ones, like, you're not carrying around as much stuff, you know. If you're using in-ear monitors, you can do this pretty easily. If you're not, it might be a little different. If you're relying on somebody that's not, or you don't have control of your monitor, that might be an issue too.
Yeah.
But, and then some of it is the range of stuff we play.
Yeah,
like,
that was what I was also thinking. Like, I'm not the best at picking up bass tones, but like when you were kind of talking about it, like Flea's bass tone is not the same as, you know, the Blink-182 bass tone, which is also not the same as like the Rage Against the Machine bass tone.
and all of which, yeah.
And I'm honestly, I'm not the best at picking these things out, but like when you were kind of talking about that, you were kind of,
Yep.
you know, saying a little bit of that here and there, and it's
so
like,
you get something
makes
like, and honestly now in Riddled, none of us are usually running cabs at all.
Oh,
so Levi is playing the Line 6 Helix.
yep,
Super cool piece of machinery that thing is.
very popular.
And then Greg is playing a Line 6 something.
Pod or something,
Pod,
maybe.
Yeah. It's a smaller setup.
I don't know. Maybe the pod isn't what they call it anymore.
It's like a pod. I had a Line 6 pod
Yeah,
bass.
those were those weird like ovally
Yeah,
shaped.
but
things.
I had
remember
the
those.
bass pod XT Live. I don't know. It was made out of metal. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, okay.
But on that one, the volume differences were so much that it was like doing something completely different every time. It also only had a 1/4 inch out, which you know, the people who don't know much about music gear are probably like, what, there he goes again, you know.
Yeah.
But
you want the XLR out.
yep, it's going to work with the modern stuff, you know. But so like on this, so our stage volume is all drums, you know, and that's all you'll hear. And then if you're behind the front of house speakers, but on this I can have 4 buttons across that I can use for 4 different songs, you know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I kind of have like 2 or 3 like baseline ones, like, and they're all named in there. Like one of them's like American Punk or whatever, which is more of your pop punky type sound. It's a little thinner bass sound, you know. And then the next one I kind of did to model after like a 90s like grunge bass tone where it has a little grit in it. And now it's there because of ease of use, really, more than anything, you know. I mean, And it does. But we do a Nine Inch Nails song too. Not very often anymore, but we used to do The Hand That Feeds. And that is a heavily distorted bass tone that actually uses a phaser too.
Oh, okay.
And so like I used to have an OCD next to, whatever the MXR phaser.
Yeah, the Phase 90 or whatever.
I lent those to Owen. I got to get those back, Owen. But, and it just, it's not, there's not a ton of bass players using them. I think a lot of the bass players now have a Sans amp or something, which is, I have one that's in a drawer in my rack that has my in-ears and everything. And if something goes wrong, I could drop that damn thing on the ground, plug an XLR into it, and roll.
Yeah. I mean, Sans Amp, I think Dark Glass has one. I mean, there's a few of them that are like, but Sans Amp is like the big one.
You can get one brand new for, I think, $200.
Yeah.
And think of it as a backup amp, really.
Oh, honestly, yeah. Especially if you have like subs or anything like that for the house sound. Like you don't need an amp.
No, and that's the other thing. Another thing for like young musicians is there's Facebook groups out there now, and you can ask the questions. And I'm part of a group on Facebook, and I think it's a relatively new group on Facebook, and it's called Punk Rock Bass Players.
Okay.
And it's super cool. I'm on there one day, and everybody was like posting like, show us your coolest bass. And so I had a picture of the two that I kind of built and had painted and everything. And then the bass player from Newfound Glory is like, those are sick. It's
that's
Ian,
cool.
whatever the bass player. I'm like, no shit. Like, that's awesome. It was. I'm 41 years old, and I was gushing like a schoolgirl.
Yeah, that's my favorite pop punk band from like high school.
Yeah,
Newfound Glory.
I don't know if you've seen them recently. That bass player lost that bass player. He is skinny now.
Yeah. He's. That's another thing. It's weird to watch how bands transform over time.
Sure.
Or like some 41 losing a guy, bringing him back.
Yeah.
Now they're it's like the whole.
They're on their last tour, last album.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's wild. Glad to see. Almost don't want to say it. Glad to see the singer made it this far.
There was some points in time there where it
was a little rough.
You could watch him. He drank a lot, and he was like swimming inside of himself. You could see that.
Yeah, he was falling apart in real time. That was rough.
Yeah, usually rock stars just turn into like old androgynous looking figures. Where you're like, I think that's Paul McCartnney.
Yeah, I saw something the other day. It was like, which one of these is a grandma?
Yeah.
And it was like 16 pictures, and they were all like, I was like, oh, that's the one. No, that's...
Nope, that's Steven Tyler.
That's, exactly. Yeah, I was like, that's the guy from Queen. No, that's... Holy cow, that's actually Dave Mustaine.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them where it's like, uh-oh, this is...
I saw a meme, and it's like, Steven Tyler looks like the cool aunt that bought everybody booze and didn't care if they drank as long as they didn't drive.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's so true, though. Oh, my gosh. I love giving Steven Tyler a bunch of crap, but not that he'll ever hear it. But let's see. What do we got for time on this bad boy? Oh, what do you know? We've already almost recorded a whole hour, and I only asked you like 2 questions.
Tends to kind of happen here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's one reason I like having you on here. You're easy to talk to, and it's... I hope it's an easy listen, because I'll tell you what, it's just flowing here. So... We got some advice for musicians. We talked about effects playing with bassists, one-off gigs. We talked a little bit about Riddled With Class. You guys got any upcoming shows?
So we are kind of, we had a couple of things go on with just some... We got the holidays coming up with everybody, their kids. Greg had some problems with his foot. So if you've seen us recently, that's why Greg was sitting. It's not because he's lost all enthusiasm for Riddled With Class. Just kind of trying to heal him up, and then
he's been kicking too much ass. That's the problem. Honestly,
all the backflips on stage and stuff. So the plan is for us to kind of reconvene in January, start adding some new material.
All right, new material, covers. Like, you gonna go different routes?
There's some covers. We've been kind of kicking around. Are we gonna do some originals? That got real big with us, like during the pandemic. Like, hey, we want to do some. We want to do some of our own stuff, and then all of a sudden we were playing gigs again. You know, and so is that on the horizon? I would 100% like to think so. It will 100% be like those guys coming up with the grooves, and then I think I probably have more to add in a lyric department than actually the music writing. I'll play whatever goes along with them. But no, it would be great. And then, yeah, little different. We do kind of want to bring like the guys from Love Bomb along with us a little bit more than we have. I mean, we know they're going to play shows and we're going to play shows, but some of those nights, we lean a lot on Blink 182 too, and Love Bomb 100%, so I'd rather watch them play that than us, and so yeah, so it's not even that. It's getting back in and challenging ourselves again is really what it is. And because I think at this point, most of our set list, like all of us can play without thinking a lot. Like I had to go back on that night I played with Tank, I played 2 nights with Tank in November. And I think it was November, it might have been October. But the coolest part of that was I was challenging myself again.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, how am I going to remember this? And then there's like little points where so in Riddled With Class, like far and away, I am the shittiest musician in that band. It's not even close. And I don't even feel bad about it because when you talk about a band that has Levi Drew, who is like the most unassuming like rock star.
1,000%. Yeah.
He'd just be like, hey dude, and then he goes up there and fucking shreds, and then he's a fantastic singer, and
it's funny. Oh, you play guitar? Yeah,
a little bit, and then just ripping solos, and
gosh,
Levi's
wild.
He's awesome and just the most down to earth dude.
100%.
And same thing with Greg, and Greg. The thing about the Merritt brothers is the reputation precedes them. Everybody knows the Merritt brothers are fantastic musicians. A lot of people don't know this, but Jake Merritt is a fantastic guitar player too. You're just never going to see it because he's too good at drums. So get back behind the kid, dude.
That's wild.
Yeah, he is.
I actually
great.
don't think I ever knew that.
Yeah, no, fantastic guitar player.
Well, son of a bitch.
And I know Greg always talks about if he ever started his own thing, he would have Jake played guitar at it because Jake otherwise is never going to get a chance to play guitar because he's too good a drummer.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, that's fun.
Yeah. And that family, John Merritt, their dad is a wonderful drummer, and there's just a lot of talent. But, I got Greg Merritt singing and playing guitar, and then Jake is as good at any drummer that you're ever going to see, And so, I'm not offended knowing that I'm the least talented musician, but I own all the stuff, and
they can't kick you out.
They cannot, and
it's your band,
and I have a different role in the band. It's not necessarily sometimes. A lot of times, I feel like I'm the one kind of pitching the songs, and stuff, but it's not necessarily nailed down. All of the songs don't come from me. I'm kind of the one hey, let's do this, and they probably all think I'm annoying as shit, but it's my job to keep it rolling along, keep us playing gigs and stuff. And so yeah, I kind of forgot where we were going.
I don't know. I was just thinking that might actually also be good advice for new musicians. It's excuse me for a second there, but everybody in the band has kind of has a role.
Yep.
It's
like a family, really. I mean, especially if you're going to do it for any length of time.
Yeah.
It's not like a family where nobody gets to be dad and we can't do this or you can't do that, but somebody's got to push it along. Somebody's got to make decisions that aren't necessarily the most popular with everybody in the band. Hey, we're going to do this. There's not much money in it. But there's an opportunity here, and
which everybody's, I can't get paid with exposure. It's yeah, but
it can. Yeah, it might not be tonight, you know, and some of the most fun I've ever had are benefits. You know?
Oh yeah.
That's another good one for kids, or not kids, but starting off musicians. If you get invited to play a benefit, go do that shit and then hang out. And watch everybody else, and whether you're googly eyeing because that's where you want to be at some point, or you're seeing things that you're I don't want to do that. You're going to see both.
Yeah,
you're going to see both.
You can learn by observing other people. That's what makes us human.
Yep. And just take the chances. Play the shows. That I honestly think that's the biggest thing is go play shows. You know, like
Yeah.
go suck somewhere. You know, like sometimes you'll get a following because you suck and you were fun to watch suck.
Dude, I can't count the number of times me and Jesse have like went and it's like play this song and Jesse's like, I've heard it. Let me look it up. And it's like, I don't know. We could try it. And so we try it, and you give it a 5 out of 10. You know, the good old college try, and that's the best it's ever gonna get right now in this moment. And people still go nuts because they're like, I wasn't the best, but you did it. You did the thing.
Yep.
You know.
And Jesse is great. Jesse is a very brave dude on that front. Like he's just like, fuck it, let's go. You know,
he's
like
heard so much music. Though.
Yeah. Well, I remember. You know, I don't even know if he remembers. I met him 100 years ago.
Yeah.
He was in a band called Dirty Thunder.
Yeah.
And Mitch Nordine was playing the drums in that band. And Chris Wilson was the lead singer.
Okay.
And I don't think Chris is like, I think Chris and Jesse might be cousins.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. And I don't think he's like playing music anymore or anything really, but
You know what?
super cool guy.
I think he's come up and sang a couple songs with Jesse
Really?
here and there before.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a blonde haired dude with a beard.
I
and
think
stuff.
so. Maybe. I
Yep.
Don't quote me on that, but I
Yeah.
know Jesse's brought up as one of his cousins to sing before.
Probably Chris, I would assume. But yeah, like, so and that dude, like, and that's the way to do it. Like, I don't know. We all get scared, you know, and like one thing for me was playing with a guy like Chad McDermott that was in that band with Levi, and Chad's out of Breda, Iowa. Awesome musician. But like, he'd just be like, oh, we're going to do this now. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. Okay. And then, but turns out it's in the key of G instead of E or something. And I'm trying to do math in my head right now, you know, or playing that night that I played with you and Jesse and Clint there in Fort Dodge. And
There's a capo. It's
Yep.
like,
the old great bass player Confuser 1000, you know, and Tank uses a capo too. And you're like, that boggles my mind that guys know I cannot sing at all. Like I'm awful. So to know what key that guitar has to be in for you to sing it correctly and stuff, there's a whole art in that, I think. You know,
I think the funnest part of that is when people let's say they want to sing, but they're like, I can't sing that high, I want to sing lower, so they move the capo up far enough so they can sing lower, which is weird to me, but it makes sense because you can't add frets. You can't like elongate the guitar neck. So.
You don't have a baritone on you just in case that person. Yeah.
No, it's funny. The thing, if anybody wants any advice, this is what I first started doing when I saw capos. I just imagined that's where my guitar neck was cut off and I couldn't play anything below it, just like they couldn't, and then just go from there.
Sure.
And then once you get comfy, you're kind of like, oh, this is the same as that note down here.
We play one song that I capo the bass on, and I know it's. So the song I Miss You, you know, by Blink-182, like, the weird Tom DeLonge.
How are you?
Yep. See, that's why I don't sing. But like my trial there. But I saw it live and I was like, is that a capo? And it is. And so like every tab on the internet will have you believe that you're playing a 7th fret B and the open is an E.
Okay.
And it's not. The open is F sharp. And so, like, could you put your hand down on the other end of the neck, you know, and you're playing the F sharp to the B, you know, and stuff. But it was just easier to put a capo on there, and it looks really cool, you know. But like, it's just different, you know. And so, but yeah, no, that's actually so. Like, yeah, if you're looking for an E, I'm playing the E on the 7th fret of the A string, then, you know, or something that actually makes sense on the capo there.
Yeah. Oh, so I mean, dude, I think we could just keep talking forever.
Yeah.
This is easily one of my favorite. Yeah, I mean, you're one of my favorite people to sit down and talk to because it's just easy. I ran into you at Casey's, maybe that might have been where it was at. And
it was.
And it was like I'm on my way out and you're on your way in, and we still talk for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and we're at a Casey's, and there's just people walking in and out past us the whole time.
I think I've known you for probably 30 years. I suppose.
Yeah. You were my flag football coach.
Yeah.
When I was like,
we were horrible.
We were very bad. I remember, and I'm not going to point fingers at anybody. I remember there was a couple kids on our team that were kind of like problem child, and like they would like perpetually try and fight people.
Those little shits grew up to be problem childs too.
That's true. They would try to like fight people at like flag football games. And it's like, what are you doing?
I just remember being like, God damn it. And like, I'm 16 at the time or whatever, 17. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're just out there like, this would be fun to coach some kids. And you're like, I got these kids? Like, are you serious?
No, it was all good.
Bad news bears.
Yeah. Minus the drinking, only because nobody would buy it for me. So.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Nick, again, so much fun to have you on here. Best of luck, future endeavors with Riddled With Class. It's going to be tons of fun to see you guys out there. I always thought it was weird when you're like, we're going to change our set list a little bit. And it's like, no. And then it's like, oh, these are all songs I like too. So I can't wait to see what the next set of songs you guys
play. We're going to keep this stuff too, but like, yeah, switch it up, challenge ourselves a little bit, like there's a lot of good stuff we can do, I think. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, I got links down below, so make sure you click on them and check them out. Nick, thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
There it is. Episode 231's in the bank. Nick Ehrhardt's such a fun guest. Absolutely love having him on the podcast. I like just seeing him and talking to him. We had mentioned that we like ran into each other. It was like at a gas station or something, and we just like stood there talking for like 5 minutes, not getting the stuff we needed. But again, that's just the kind of person he is. He's fun to talk to. So you guys have to check out, if Riddled With Class and Love Bomb do a show together, you absolutely have to go to that. It's going to be a raucous good time for all. It's going to be so much fun. The Riddled With Class guys, crazy talented, crazy fun to watch them. They're always chiseling their set list and adding and changing new songs. It seems just about every year it changes just a little bit. There's always the classics, of course. But and then Love Bomb, it's basically the young version of most of us. It's like what we all wanted to be when we were growing up, and I think they're doing a better job than most of us. It's pretty fun to go watch those guys out there play. Just a bunch of youngsters having fun playing, multi-hour sets at time, which is like also wild to think of at that age. Playing sets that long. So check those shows out if you can go find one. Otherwise, all the links for Riddled With Class are down below. Also, all the links for Audible Farm are down below. You can support Audible Farm on Patreon. You can check out the website. You can also go to the shop. There's t-shirts. T-shirts in the shop now. There's only a few left, and I mean like just a few. Maybe like 12 or 13 shirts total, and a couple of them are gone already. So if you want a shirt, that's where they're at. Otherwise, hit me up in person if you see me out and about, and I can hook you up with a shirt. Just let me know ahead of time, I guess. Otherwise, I'm not like carrying them with me all the time. So yeah, we got t-shirts in the shop. The shop is like, again, kind of sort of slowly coming back. Just I didn't realize I had so much inventory. It is getting cold too, and I do have hoodies, zip up hoodies with the Audible Farm logo on the back. So those are available as well. Not in the shop yet, but if you want one, maybe hit me up and see if I got one, and I can probably maybe make it happen. So check that out. Otherwise, everything's at audiblefarm.com. If you're not watching on YouTube, I don't know why. But otherwise, yeah, there's still a steady stream of people just listening to this. I guess I shouldn't say I don't know why you wouldn't be watching on YouTube, because I never watch podcasts on YouTube. But believe it or not, there's a lot of people watching on YouTube now too. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for all the subscribes. Share the podcast with somebody. Let everybody know Audible Farm's back. Let them know Nick Ehrhardt was on. It was tons of fun. Go find your favorite episode. Share it with a buddy. Just let them know, it's back. It's back, everybody. Hashtag bring back Audible Farm worked. Thank you, Scott Kirkhart, and audiblefarm.com for everything I might have missed. We'll see you next week, everybody. Peace.